My name is Pam Turner, and my husband is Nelson Turner. Nelson's business, in 2008, when a lot of people were suffering financially, his business suffered, and we were faced with a situation that only God could fix. And in that situation, I tried to make plans where we could make it, and the finances just weren't there. It was so hard, and I wanted to make it work. By the grace of God, He brought us through it, and it taught me that I didn't have to have a plan because God had a plan.
Like Pam was talking about in 2008 when we lost literally everything. We've seen the support of our church. We've seen the support of our family. And at that time I look back and I can see that my walk with God wasn't what it needed to be at all. And then we go through a few more years of our lives, and we about lose our first grandchild to a sickness. And then again, through adversity, we seen God work. We had taken her to Baptist, and she had something. They didn't know what was wrong with her, and they said she was dying. And we had 30 people from our church drive to Baptist Hospital, stay there, and prayed until she was better. And that's God. And then boom, you come up to a few years later, and I'm going to work one day. Life's fine. And all of a sudden, I'm getting out of a car wondering where I'm at. I'd had a wreck on Interstate 40. My heart had stopped. I didn't know it at the time. I get out of the car, and a guy comes behind me and says, "Sir, you need to sit down. You hit the guardrail really hard." And I didn't know where I was at, didn't know who I was, didn't know where I was going. But I remember two things. I remember Pam's phone number, and I remember the song on the radio that said, "Let me tell you about my Jesus." And through all of that, adversity, even when I had my wreck, and I'm an anxious person most of the time, and have anxiety some, but finding myself when I'm walking closer to God, I'm calm in my life. And at that time I was, and I can't always say that I've always been that close to God, because I've had my ups and downs and I've had my challenges. But even at that time when I was getting in the ambulance, I had a peace about me. And adversity, in our Sunday school lessons about Paul, the adversity he went, and even through the adversity that he's been through, he was still able to witness to other people in his life. And we can be that kind of person in our lives if we just allow God to use us, and we can just find that peace. And the pastor a few weeks ago, he talked about when everything was going on with the hurricane and everything was destructive and people were just they didn't know what to do. He made one comment and it stuck with me, and it was that God's got us. We may turn away from God, but God don't turn away from us. And one of the verses that I rely on a lot is 1 Peter 5:7. It says, "Cast all your anxieties on God because He cares." And that's where we are with our lives, and God's brought us through a lot. He's showed up when we don't show up. He's there when we're not there. And if I could just say anything to anybody that's out there that's struggling in their lives, and first, if you don't know Christ, you need to settle that. And if you do know Christ, you need to lean on Him. And life's not going to be perfect. The Bible tells us it's not. We're going to go through trials, and we're not going to understand them. But when you look at adversity, when we lost our house, I look back now, and I've told Pam time and time again that, that was not God's plan for us to build that dream house. And it was just stuff. Like I say, I can tell anybody that through adversity you can come through, but you've got to put all your faith in God. And if you're a member of this church, you're blessed. We've been here a lot of years, and we've seen the good times and we've seen the bad times. But God has blessed our church in many, many ways. And if you are struggling, I would give you advice first to surround yourself with Christian people, because they're going to lead you in the right direction. Don't surround yourself with worldly people. And know that whatever you go through, somebody out there has probably gone through something a little bit worse. But just know that putting God first, keeping your eyes upon Him, studying His Word, praying, meditating, that it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good.